Hello, my lovely rose garden. I'm Avalon.
And I'm Ray.
And I never thought I would want to see a pet get return screen time less.
Yeah, I'm just over here like, you're all like, oh, it appears to be about the dog. And I'm all like, when I said that this dog will probably never show up again, that was probably the best case scenario. Because this dog returning is probably only going to create more misery for me.
Yeah. Oh, Frodo's awake. Hi, Frodo. Speaking of pets,
Yeah.
Winnie and Frodo are both here. Chapter 40. We are so close to the end.
How many chapters are in this book?
55, I think. Let me check.
Spare me my life.
Yeah, 55. So we have 15 chapters left to go. And that's a reminder. We have 15 chapters left to go. And this chapter appears to be mostly about the dog. Anyway, Elisicles groaned as something cold and wet brushed her cheek and moved to lick her face. She opened an eye and found the puppy looking down at her, its tail wagging. Adjusting herself in the bed, she winced at the sunlight. She hadn't meant to sleep in. They had a test in 2 days, and she needed to train. It was their last test before the final duel, the test that decided who the 4 finalists would be. Oh, so we might actually see it. Elisicles rubbed an eye and then scratched the dog behind the ears. Have you peed somewhere and wish to tell me about it? Oh, no, said someone at the bedroom as the bedroom door swung open. Dorian. I took her out at dawn with the other dogs. So not only did the bitch sleep in, but she apparently didn't wake up when Dorian came inside, got her dog, took it out, brought it back.
Greatest assassin.
And just now didn't notice him coming in.
Also, wild how Dorian is still the one taking care of this dog, even though it's supposed to be her dog.
We all knew she wasn't going to do jack shit with this dog. Because, yeah, so far she has not done a single thing in the realm of taking care of this dog.
She locked this dog in the kitchen, and God only knows what happened after that.
Yep. Winnie, I fucking swear. And there she goes to the litter. Every time.
Every time.
We even vary up the time that we record to try and make sure.
She's just here, and then she smells the litter box, and she's like, oh yeah, I got his shit.
Yeah, it's like she's reminded by us being in the office. Oh, well. She smiled weakly as he approached. Isn't it rather early for a visit? Early, he laughed, sitting on the bed. She inched away. It's almost 1 p.m. Philippa told me you'd been sleeping like the dead all morning. 1? She'd slept that long? What about lessons with Kaol? Honestly surprised he didn't break down your door and drag you to them.
Yeah.
She scratched her nose and pulled the puppy onto her lap. At least nothing had happened last night. If there had been another attack, she would have heard about it already. Would you have? I'm kind of hoping that his next line of dialogue is, by the way, the test is canceled because there's only 4 of you left. She almost sighed with relief, though the guilt of what she had done and how little faith she had in Nehemia still made her a tad miserable. Fucking good, be miserable.
Be miserable about it, then.
Have you named her yet? He asked, casual, calm, collected. Was he acting that way for show, or was their kiss just not that important to him? No, she said, keeping her face neutral, even though she wanted to scream from the awkwardness. I can't think of anything appropriate. What about, he said, tapping his chin, Goldie? That's the stupidest name I've ever heard. Really? I think Selena Sardothian might, Can you think of something better? She picked up one of the dog's legs and examined the soft paws. She squished the padded foot beneath her thumb. Fleetfoot. It was a perfect name. Oh, God, it's a warrior
cat's name.
It literally is.
Yeah, I know.
one of the
I know.
well, for somehow, in case these viewers don't know about shifting roots,
Yeah.
it is one of the field colony cats' name.
Yeah.
We have a Fleetfoot in field colony.
Curse Tennelle and Snap with this knowledge.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Just be all like, hey, by the way.
gonna be in their DMs later. It was a perfect name. In fact, it felt as if the name had existed all along, and she'd finally been clairvoyant enough to stumble across it. Yes, Fleetfoot it is. Does it mean anything? He asked. Now, before we say anything, this is the same man who saw that someone's brain had been surgically removed and said, must have been a bar fight. At no point has he claimed intelligence. He asked, and the dog raised her head to look at him. It'll mean something when she outruns all your purebreds. Alyssicles scooped the dog into her arms and kissed her head. She bounced her arms up and down, and Fleetfoot stared up into her eyes with a wrinkled brow. She was absurdly soft and cuddly. So many people at work lately have puppies, and it's making me really want a puppy. Like, 2 of my coworkers just got puppies, and there's someone who comes to pick up in the afternoon and always brings this little puppy with him. I'm like, I didn't want it. It's so cute. Dorian chuckled. We'll see. Alyssicles set the dog down on the bed. Fleetfoot promptly crawled under the blankets and disappeared. Did you sleep well? He asked. Yes, though it seems you didn't if you were up so early. We've established that it's 1 in the afternoon. Listen, he began, and Alyssicles wanted to throw herself from the balcony. Last night, I'm sorry if I was too forward with you. He paused. Alyssicles, you're grimacing. Had she been making a face? Sorry. It did upset you then. What did? The kiss. I wish I could throw myself off a balcony.
This dialogue is like pulling teeth.
Once again, chapter 40 of 55. One would expect, like, I guess if you're in this for the romance, the stakes are being slightly raised because they have kissed and are now attempting to discuss it. But all of that was preceded by inane puppy conversation. And I don't know. It's bad follow-up.
Yeah.
If this chapter's purpose is to be a follow-up to that, to serve as some sort of plot progression for the romance arc of the book, it is failing
miserably.
Just spectacularly bad. Phlegm caught in her throat, and the assassin coughed. Oh, it was nothing, she said, thumping her chest as she cleared her throat. I didn't mind it, but I didn't hate it, if that's what you're thinking. She immediately regretted saying it. So you liked it? He grinned lazily. No. Oh, go away. And we're back to square one. She flung herself onto her pillows, pulling the blankets above her head. She was going to die from embarrassment.
I want to die right now.
I'm dying from the secondhand embarrassment. Again, it's fine to, want to have the whole puppy love first crush. It's embarrassing to be vulnerable and admit you like somebody and they had this really intense moment. They don't know how to proceed. Fine. All of that, fine on its own or in a different book. But again, these are adults, essentially. Like, I think she's, young adults. They're 18 and 19 or something like that. But they're still grown up enough. And in this setting, one would expect that they have been more or less treated as adults.
Yeah.
For a little bit. I mean, she was Adderlin's assassin. She was doing adult work by killing people.
Yeah.
So one would assume that this just feels so immature for who these characters are supposed to be.
This feels like you kissed your crush at the middle school dance and the next day at first period, you don't know how to talk to each other.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, are we boyfriend and girlfriend? Am I ready for my first boyfriend? Even though she apparently had a very serious romantic partner in the past.
Yeah, whatever his face.
Sam.
Sam. Yeah, Sam, the guy that was like mentioned in one chapter and then never again. That Sam.
Like, again, you know, she could be thinking about that right now. She could be reflecting
Samwise
on...
Gamgee.
Don't bring him into this. That is Frodo's husband. Not you, Frodo. But you're a strong, independent mouse who don't need no man. But yeah, like, there are so many other ways that this character should be acting. It's not that you can't have a character like this, because I don't want to come across as being like, oh, teenage girls having teenage girl reactions, horrible. But nothing about Selena's backstory, experiences, any of what she has been through inform the way that she acts in this or any other scene.
And, like, okay, if you want to have a character that is super hyper competent in assassination, Selena is not super hyper competent in assassination, but she's supposed to be. So let's keep that in mind. If you want a character who is like has this really like edgy, horrible backstory with, you know, these has been thrust into these very adult situations, but like, you know, hasn't matured in other ways and still is like inexperienced and kind of messy about romance, fine, you can do that. This is just frustrating to read. It's not fun to read.
Yeah, it doesn't come across as this being a deliberate choice made by the author to juxtapose different aspects of the character where she can be
or maybe that,
super serious and mature and deadly in one scenario and then totally out of her depth in the other.
Like, part of me is like, I get the feeling that's what she's trying to go for. She's just very unsuccessful at it. She's not making... doesn't make Selena come off as like, you know, naive and inexperienced with romance. She's just writing very irritating characters.
Well, and again,
who don't know how to fucking talk.
Part of that is because, according to the text, she's not inexperienced with romance.
Yeah.
She's had serious partners before.
Yeah.
And the last time we got to see her do some, like, actual cool assassin shit was, like, when she saved Nox that one time from falling off the thing.
I think that was, like, the last time.
The last trial, one of the last trials we saw, and that was back, like, what, a good 20 chapters ago?
I'm pretty sure we weren't even halfway through the book yet.
Yeah, like I'm looking for it now. I've got my finger on the page that we're on so I can scan it to see where that chapter was that she saved Nox.
I don't know, man.
And
it's been a while.
It's
been a lifetime at this point.
It was chapter 22, so almost 20 chapters ago was the last time we actually saw her living up to anything to do with her reputation.
Like, she considered briefly running away during the Halloween special. But nothing came of that.
Even that I wouldn't call, like, you know, exceptional skill or prowess.
Yeah, like, she considered, like, oh, I could run away. And then she didn't. And it's like, okay, well, that was a big wet fart of nothing.
So for the past 150 pages, literally, of this book, so most of it, and most of it before that moment as well, what we have seen of this character is that she's a brat.
Yeah.
And she is acting like a brat. This does not juxtapose anything because this is just more of what we've already seen, which is her being a brat.
Yeah. Like, I'm talking in regards to what I assume was Mass's intent. Which, there's always a slippery slope of assuming an author's intent about things, but knowing this kind of book generally and having at least my degree of media literacy going for me, where I'm fairly good at knowing at least what an author is going for, it's a failure. It's a catastrophic failure.
Think I was not sure of my ability to pull off a Stephen He impression.
I didn't want to try too hard, but just a slight intonation. That's all you need. Stephen He, where are you at?
We'll say his name a couple times so that his video will appear in the recommendation.
Stephen He. Stephen He. Stephen He.
Uncle Roger.
Uncle Roger.
Save us. Save us, Asian comedy side of YouTube, with your astute observations.
Yes.
Okay, moving on. Fleetfoot licked her face as she hid in the darkness of the sheets. Come now, he said. From your reaction, one would think you'd never been kissed. She threw back the blankets and Fleetfoot burrowed farther beneath. Of course I've been kissed, she snapped, trying not to think about Sam and what she'd shared with him.
Sam.
But it wasn't by some stuffed shirt, pompous, arrogant princeling. We got one Sam mention. And it's in a bratty outburst. He looked down at his chest. Stuffed shirt.
See, at this point, like, the only way this could be saved in, like, the whole, oh, she's not used to romance or whatever, if Sam was just, like, an imaginary boyfriend that lived in Canada, in fantasy Canada.
My boyfriend who lives in the Shire.
My boyfriend who lives in the Shire and has a boyfriend. It's the
She's not allowed in the polycule.
It's the modern day fantasy equivalent to having a scene boyfriend that lives in Canada and kisses boys.
God, don't remind me. Anyway, he looked down at his chest. Stuffed shirt. Oh, hush up, she said, hitting him with the pillow. Where are the guards? The prison's just in here with her.
Can someone just shoot her with a crossbow?
Where is Russ?
Russ is useless.
Yeah, but where is he? I'd rather see this from his point of view, being like, if anyone tells Kaol I am so fucking fired. She moved to the other side of the bed, got up, and walked to the balcony. She felt him watching her, staring at her back and the 3 scars she knew her low-cut nightgown did nothing to hide. Are you going to remain here while I change? She faced him.
She's gonna stand on the balcony and change, give everyone a free show.
Jump off that balcony, fulfill my dreams. He wasn't my wish fulfillment is for Alyssa Cleese to jump off that balcony. He wasn't looking at her the way he had the night before. There was something wary in his gaze, and something unspeakably sad. Her blood thrummed in her veins. Well, gosh, I wonder what it could be. I wonder if it's possibly the detail that they just took time to point out. It's like when you're watching like a low-budget animation, and there's just that one brick in the wall that looks different.
You're like,
that one's gonna move.
It's that one scene from Berserk.
That's what I was thinking of.
Just
Shannon described it as like what, the wall shits or something.
The wall shits. Well, no, because
it does look like that.
We watched that clipped together version that Shannon made of the movies in the show, and
excellent viewing.
And she did add the wall shitting in there simply because we were so tickled.
It does look like the wall shits.
Shitting one brick, and then hell goop.
Yeah, I would like to rewatch that cut of Berserk.
I have it on my drive.
Like we should rewatch that at some point.
Yeah,
and I feel like Shannon considers it like old shame and thinks he could do better now, and yeah, he probably could, but I still liked it. Like, for someone who had never seen or read Berserk, that was a really good way to be introduced to
Yeah.
as broad a scope of the story through animated adaptation as possible.
At least as a broad a story of the
Golden Age arc.
Golden Age arc.
The only one I care about.
The only thing that gets animated.
And that's fine.
That's fine.
I like the Golden Age arc.
It's good.
Anyway, your scars are awful, he said, almost whispering.
Wow. I can't believe you just said that.
Rude. She put a hand on a hip and walked to the dressing room door. We all bear scars, Dorian. Mine just happen to be more visible than most. Sit there if you like, but I'm going to get dressed. She strode from the room.
Yeah, okay.
All right, I know this was published before TikTok was a thing, but there's the TikTok quote.
A little TMI for the listeners. I've been shitting my guts out for almost 24 hours now, and I would rather be doing that now than reading this book.
Oh, you're not escaping that easily. I'll stand outside the bathroom door. You think that wood's gonna save you? Anyway. POV switch tilde. But thankfully it's not to Dorian.
Oh, thank God.
Catherine walked beside Duke Parrington through the endless tables of the palace greenhouse. She doesn't even turn around for less than 5,000.
You know what? I stand. We love a druggy, like,
get your bag, girlie.
Gold digging, backstabbing bitch. Like,
who else is doing it like Lady Calton? I
wish I had a $5,000 so she would turn around and look at me.
Step on me, mommy.
This is what happens when you lean so hard into making your female protag like the edgy, not like other girls girl. You get contrarians like me being all like, anyway, points at the obvious, like, villainized female character.
The one who's just here to be the girl hate thing.
Can I kiss her?
This Barbie smokes opium.
This Barbie smokes opium, and I would buy her opium for her.
Step on me with your giant stiletto that's got like a live goldfish in it. Anyway, back to the queen herself. The giant glass building was full of shadows and light, and she fanned herself as the steamy heat smothered her face. The man picked the most absurd places to walk. She had about as much interest in the plants and flowers as she did in a mud puddle on the side of the street. He picked a lily, snow white, and handed it to her with a bow of his head. For you. She tried not to cringe at the sight of his pocked, ruddy skin and orange mustache. Oh God, he's ginger.
Okay, like, the way I've been, imagining this guy, has been... The name just totally escaped me. So in the Count of Monte Cristo Gonkutsuo anime, the banker.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I've been just imagining... I always forget the freaking French-ass names.
He is the least interesting of the three guys to get revenge on.
Yeah, but yeah, like... And so the fact that he's ginger now just has served to solidify that mental image in my head that that's just this guy.
I've been imagining the Captain Crunch mascot.
We are not the same person. We're on different levels.
I am Avalon. He is Ray.
And we are not the same person. We may have similar vibes, we may have similar lives,
but we're different nonetheless. I don't know the Captain Crunch guy's phrase. I don't think he has. It's a crunchitize me, Captain.
Yeah, crunchitize me, Captain.
That's what she said.
Look, you think
Morphine.
that Lady Caltane, when she's like super high on opium, is just like crunchitize me, Captain?
Thank you for putting it into the words. I was struggling.
she looks at his ass and she's like, I could really go for some peanut butter Captain Crunch right now, just shredding the top of my mouth.
And once again, as the absolute queen she is, she does pick the best flavor of Captain Crunch, which is peanut butter. Do not fucking come at me with Crunch Berry.
That's the flavor that my dad would get occasionally because he liked Captain Crunch.
Why does cis men fucking love peanut butter Captain Crunch?
Cis men like peanut butter and they're valid for that.
They are.
I also like peanut butter, and that's how you know I'm a man.
It's true. That's the two genders, people who like peanut butter and people who don't. I like crunchy peanut butter, and that's what makes me an NB.
You like crunchy peanut butter, and that's what makes you just wrong?
You're sleeping on the couch tonight.
You're the one who likes crunchy peanut butter. You sleep on the couch.
Fine, I'll take my crunchy peanut butter and I'll sleep on the couch. Bronze understands me. We're making so many Cinderella boy references just to get through this fucking thing.
We're trying to live.
The thought of being stuck with him made her want to rip all the plants out by their roots and throw them into the snow. What the fuck did the plants do? Never mind, Queen, go off.
She's just pissed off at him. She needs an outlet for her anger.
Thank you, she said huskily. That's how you say things huskily, right?
I don't know. I think of
just think of
like think of Husker from Has Been Hotel. That's how he speaks.
What the fuck is this episode?
I don't know. We're trying our best.
Did we smoke the ocean? Is it us?
I mean, at least I have the mild excuse of, like
sleep
I said,
deprivation.
getting my guts out and sleep deprivation. What's your excuse? Is it the crunchy peanut butter?
Shut up. I can quit anytime I want. Dips another spoon into the peanut butter.
I love chewing peanut butter.
They're like little surprises.
You know that they're there!
But I don't know exactly when I'm gonna come across them. So I'm like eating and then it's, surprise, a little peanut. And it's fun. It's like sprinkles.
I mean, to be fair, probably the reason that I dislike crunchy peanut butter is because I just am not a fan of nuts.
Yeah, it tracks. It tracks with your general.
It's dry. I don't like a surprise dry spot when I am eating a food that is supposed to be wet.
And I am simply better than you.
You're incorrect.
I am whimsical and joyous. I have my little peanut sprinkles. And I enjoy things. Okay, moving on. Vote now. Who's right? Crunchy or smooth?
Smooth is better.
It's wrong.
Well, you know how I know I'm right? Is because you'll still eat smooth peanut butter.
Yeah, it's a sacrifice I make for you.
But it's not like disgusting to you.
I mean, it lacks the fun and whimsy, but since you refuse to eat crunchy, I have no other choice. I am willing to make concessions for your inferior taste. And that's why
you
am
also
the superior
you
husband.
also like pineapple on pizza.
Again, my superior taste.
You just you have tastes that the general populace looks at you and thinks you're a pervert.
It's because they're weak and prudish. They can't handle the amount of nuts in their mouth that I can.
You need to be on a list. You can't even say that because you're asexual.
I'm so glad I convinced my mom not to watch these videos.
You're like, never mind.
Yeah, my mom messaged me a little bit ago and she was like, yeah, I need something to listen to while I'm cross-stitching and I'm getting tired of these, like, cozy mysteries. Can I start watching your... I guess she was gonna wait until we were done with Throne of Glass to start. And she's like, it's been a year. Can I start this? And I'm like, no. No, you
probably
can't.
don't want to.
You'll learn things you don't want to learn.
But yeah, no, you have a food taste that would put you on a list. This country,
The VIP list.
We're a just country. You like people would need to be informed that you're moving into their neighborhood.
Because I'm a VIP and entitled to red carpet treatment.
Not that kind of list.
That kind of list. Anyway, moving on. But Parrington studied her closely. You seem out of spirits today, Lady Catherine. Do I? She cocked her head in her coyest expression. Perhaps today pales in comparison to the fun I had at the ball last night. Or perhaps you need to give me a cool $5,000.
$5,000 for me to acknowledge your existence. I mean, to be fair, okay, she's probably just experiencing party crash.
Yeah.
Like, after a weekend at a con, and you come home and you feel like absolute dog shit.
You always got to take the Monday off after the con, because it's gonna take a good 24 hours to re-regulate back to normal life.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, that's why I'm glad that we now work at a job where we have the Monday after the con off.
Yeah.
Pretty much guaranteed.
Yeah, pretty much.
The Duke's black eyes bored into her, though, and he frowned. What a weird comma. You only you didn't need that other comma.
Yeah,
there.
you can
threw me off.
You can just
threw off my groove.
Just delete the though.
And he frowned as he put a hand on her elbow and steered her on. You needn't pretend with me. Oh, sorry, I forgot he had a voice, and he's not going to have a voice anymore. I noticed you watching the Crown Prince. Catherine gave away nothing as she raised her manicured brows and looked sidelong at him. Was I? Parrington ran a meaty finger down the spine of a fern. The black ring on his finger pulsed, and her head gave a throb of pain in response. I noticed him too, the girl specifically. She's troublesome, isn't she? Lady Lillian? Catherine blinked this time, unsure whether she could sag with relief just yet. He hadn't noticed her wanting the prince, but rather that she'd noticed how Lillian and Dorian clung to each other all night. So she calls herself, Parrington murmured. That's not her name, Catherine asked before she could think. The Duke turned to her, his eyes as black as his ring. You don't honestly believe that girl is a purebred lady. Catherine's heart stopped. She's truly not? And then Parrington smiled and finally told her everything. When Parrington finished, Catherine could only stare at him. An assassin. Lillian, bullshit last name, was Selena Sardothian, the world's most notorious assassin, and she had her claws in Dorian's heart. If Catherine wanted Dorian's hand, then she'd need to be far, far cleverer. Simply revealing who Lillian truly was might be enough, but it might not. Catherine couldn't afford to take risks. The greenhouse was silent, as if it held its breath. How can we let this go on? How can we allow the prince to endanger himself like that? Parrington's face shifted for a moment toward something pained and ugly, but it was so fast she barely noticed it above the pounding rising in her head. She needed her pipe, needed to calm down before she had a fit. We can't, Parrington said. But how can we stop them? Tell the king? Parrington shook his head, putting a hand on his broadsword as he thought for a moment. He's got a fucking broadsword? She examined a rose bush and traced a long nail along the curve of a thorn. She's to face the remaining champions in a duel, he said slowly. You don't know that. She could be disqualified in the next test. And in the duel, she'll drink a toast in honor of the goddess and gods. It wasn't just her too-tight corset that stole the breath from Catherine as the Duke went on. There's the corset hate. She lowered her hand from the thorn. I was going to ask you to preside over the toast as a representation of the goddess.
Every time I see corset hate, I'm just all like, 100 years from now, can you believe women wore push-up bras? It's so...
I want to watch the Karolina Zabrowska video every time.
Yeah.
Every time. Perhaps you could slip something into her drink. Kill her myself? Hiring someone was one thing, but to do it herself. I know an assassin you could hire. I don't know if she's very good, though. She might fuck it up. Also, with poisons, really, the test that she, like, passed with flying colors, almost without help. Like, she only had the last one that wasn't, that she needed Pelor's help with.
I miss Pelor.
I miss Pelor. Like,
who will clearly have to be the big bad, the surprise big bad at the end. He's going to
please,
show up.
please. Yeah, like, seriously though, if you want to take her out, poison is obviously one of the worst ways to do this. Or, you know, you could just, well, never mind. I'm talking about a competent book. You could just put some candy on her bed and, you know, that'll do it. Just put a razor in her candy. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
The Duke raised his hands. No, no, but the king has agreed that drastic measures should be taken in a way that will make Dorian believe things were an accident. If we were merely to give her a dose of bloodbane, not lethal, but just enough to cause her to lose control, it would give Cain the advantage he needs.
Bloodbane?
Yeah, that was like one of the fucking...
Yeah.
One of the hard to identify poisons from earlier. Wow, something from a test coming back. Amazing. Didn't anticipate that. Cain can't kill her on his own. Accidents happen all the time in duels. Her head gave a sharp, intense throb that echoed through her body. Maybe drugging her might be easier. Oh, I see. He's got the ring that, like, makes her agree with him or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Cain thinks he can, but I don't like taking risks. Parrington grasped her hands. His ring was ice cold against her skin. What's cooler than being cool?
Ice cold!
All right.
You can tell that, this book is bad because I'm not even moved by the use of mind control as a plot device.
I know, like, we're usually all over that shit. And not even interesting here. Shame. Disgraceful. His ring was ice cold against her skin, and she fought the urge to rip her hands from his grip. Don't you want to help Dorian? Once he's free of her, then he'll be mine. He'll be mine as he should be. But to kill for it? He'll be mine. She's thinking this, not saying it out loud. Then we'll be able to get him on the right path, won't we? Parrington finished with a broad smile that made her instincts tell her to run and never look back. But all her mind could see was a crown and a throne and the prince who would sit by her side. Tell me what I need to do, she said. He spelled it out pretty clearly. You're gonna do the toast and slip some bloodbane into her shit. That's all. You were told. Whatever. She needs her opium. And that was chapter 40. I sure can't wait to see what chapter 41 brings. It is likewise very short. We're just gonna have a bunch of short chapters here at the end. Works for me, I guess. Keep growing till next time, Rose Garden.
Bye.
Thank you for watching all the way to the end. My deepest gratitude goes out to my supporters, who you'll see on screen here and also in the description. If you'd like, you could become a member of the Rose Garden by supporting me on Patreon, Ko-fi, or by buying my books. And don't forget that for an indie author like me, every like, comment, and subscription is a huge help. Good night, my lovely Rose Garden.